Awesome. What's up, ladies? Excited to be coming on with you live for our Wellness Wednesday session. So if you are joining me, I would love for you to pop into the comments and let me know that you're here. This is part 3 of our 4-part pain management series that I've been doing the past couple of weeks here in our Strong Moms group. And if you have missed any of these series, so we had part 1, where I basically walked you through a 3-part framework that I've put together to guide you in aging better, moving better, reducing aches and pains in your body as you get older. We want to be able to move and be active in our bodies for years and years to come. And this is so critically important. So if you missed part 1, I want to drop that in the comments right now. You can grab that link. And then part 2 that I talked about last week, we focused on a piece of that framework, the PMS framework, which you're going to learn about in part 1, is posture. The first component is posture. So last week I talked about posture and alignment, and each week I'm giving you just a very small weekly action step that you can focus on and put into practice in your daily life as we move through these couple of weeks. And the purpose of doing that is to kind of drip this out so that you're not just bombarded with a bunch of information that you can feel like, okay, well, that was great, but I'm overwhelmed and I have a life and I'm really busy and I can't do all the things. I know, which is why it's so critically important for me to minimize this work, because it's really powerful work that's going to help you reduce pain and move better in your body and feel stronger and lose weight and just eliminate the aches and pains. And so we're doing one small component weekly. All right. So glad to have you guys jumping in. If you're here live, let me know over on the Facebook group. I'd love to see you there. And I'm just double checking. Okay, cool. We're on there. I want to talk today about mobility. This is the second component of the framework. So we had PMS. We talked about posture last week, and today we're addressing mobility. So let me ask you this. Do your joints ache or feel tight? Do they click or pop or crunch or catch or swell, right? I want to know how your joints feel throughout the day. In the morning, are you more symptomatic? Do you experience more aches or pains or stiffness versus throughout the day, or maybe again in the evening? Kind of when do your symptoms seem to come up for you? Is it during specific activities? The more that you can talk to me and share about your particular experience, the better that I can respond in these coaching sessions leading up to our ab rehab challenge, where I'm designing the challenge around what you guys need and what you're facing daily. Okay. But it is a basic fact that your body will feel stiffer and achier and older than necessary when you are not moving regularly or moving well. But when everything hurts and you feel like you're dying, it's really hard to justify moving. And you might even feel stuck because it's like you want to move and you want to get healthy and feel strong and be fit, but then everything hurts. So you feel like you can't move, or you start moving and then you feel like you get injured because everything hurts. If this is you and you want to work out or exercise regularly, but the pain, the stiffness, the discomfort, etc., just continuously land you back into a sedentary lifestyle, and you're just caught in this cycle, you need to comment and let me know what is going on for you, because in today's session, we are talking about mobility, which is the second piece of our PMS framework: posture, mobility, and strength. Okay. And today I'm gonna outline the difference between flexibility and mobility and what your joints need to function for health. And I want to leave you with some simple things, action steps that you can start doing during this week to start moving better and feeling better now. So like I said, if you missed part 1 or 2, I would strongly encourage you to check those out. I've got the links above. Nothing works in isolation. You're going to hear me say this over and over because I really want this message to sink home. And if you have tried building strength, but you are still hitting plateaus, or you've tried stretching or doing yoga, but you still have pain or weakness, it's because you aren't using this three-part framework. You're only addressing a single component of the puzzle and nothing works in isolation, okay? So pain can be a huge barrier to you being an active participant in your life, with your family, with your kids, and that can just be really disheartening. Hey, Emily, yes, she says, a barrier to my yoga practice is pain in my mid-back and ribs. Emily, I'm glad you're mentioning that, because I've had a couple other moms also mentioning pain in the thoracic spine and in rib mobility. And that is something I want to specifically address throughout the Ab Rehab Challenge. And I've already put in a couple of components in there to show you how to mobilize the joints throughout your mid-back, and also to gain better posture and movement through that area of your body. So glad that you are mentioning that. So let's dive in with a little bit of, I want to start with some clarity and give you kind of the difference between flexibility and mobility. So here's the distinction I want you to understand, as simple as I can make it. Mobility has to do with your joints, okay? And we talked more about joints last week in part 2 with posture. Flexibility has to do with your muscles. And more specifically, mobility is the ability of a joint to move freely through a full range of motion without pain or discomfort. That is key. So mobility is when your joint can move freely through its full range of motion, no pain, no discomfort. That's key. Flexibility, on the other hand, speaks directly to the ability of a muscle to lengthen fully, okay? So you need both of these, because if I were to say, well, which one is better? Coach, well, what should I be focusing on? These two things go together like peanut butter and jelly, or campfires and s'mores, right? It's like tacos and Tuesday, like they go together. What I love those things. Like, what's your go-to, like, we go together statement? Give me one in the comments. But for example, let's say your muscles are tight. You would be inflexible. So if you have tight muscles, I would say you're not flexible. You won't be, if you're not flexible, you're not going to be able to take your joint through its full range of motion. So you're also going to be immobile. Okay, so see how those two things are going to be connected. We can also say, on the other hand, let's say your body recognizes that you don't have the ability or strength to stabilize a joint at its end range of motion. Your body will automatically, in order to protect itself, will limit that movement by reducing your flexibility. So if your joint is not healthy, your muscles will respond to that by limiting range of motion to keep you safe, okay? So you can be flexible but not have good overall mobility, and you can also be mobile in your joints but not be particularly flexible. These two things have got to work together, okay? So mobility, and when you look at your kids or think about when you were a kid, right? Mobility is something you had plenty of as a child. But slowly we lose this due to things like working our 9-to-5 job and muscle compensations, faulty movement patterns. And this is just one indicator of how well and freely you are able to move. Because again, nothing works in isolation, but this is a very important component of building healthy movement patterns that are going to keep you strong and mobile, okay? And some of the benefits of focusing on and incorporating not just flexibility, but both flexibility and mobility, which is an often overlooked component of fitness. How many times, honestly, have you done a workout or been to a fitness class and just skipped out on the cool down? And you think, or you go out for a run, you come back to the house, you like check your stats, you walk in the door and you just go straight into mom mode, getting back with the routine, kids, whatever's going on in the house, and you don't take time to cool down or stretch or do anything like that. Or before you went for the run, did you do some run prep? Did you work through some dynamic movement to warm up your joints and prepare your body for impact? If we're skipping out on mobility and flexibility training. And we're just going straight into things like cardio or strength training or just everyday momming or working around our house in our life, we're really lacking a lot of benefits from this. So one of those things is the reduced risk of injury. And how many of you have been, if you're terrible about skipping out on like the pre-workout or the post-workout and you're just diving straight into workout, the thing is this, you are going to be best able to perform an exercise with safe and proper form when each joint can move through a healthy range of motion. If you are restricted in any way, I need you to think of your body as this kinetic chain of energy. And wherever you are restricted, that is a hard stop. And wherever you don't bend, you break. I need you to kind of really visualize that in your body, okay? So a benefit of incorporating mobility and flexibility training is that reduced risk of injury. Remind yourself, wherever I don't bend, I break. Another benefit is improved performance in your workouts, but also in your everyday life. Your body works when your body is working as it's designed to, it's not only going to operate safer, but also more efficiently. And so that is going to eliminate kind of leaks of wasted energy, if you will, which is going to allow you to work better. And so, for example, if you find that it's really hard for you to keep up energy in a workout or movements that maybe didn't used to feel really hard or taxing, like going up and down the stairs or, carrying in all the groceries from the car and you're getting winded, your body is not working very efficiently. You're wasting energy because your body has all of these like locks in place that aren't working well. Of course, it's going to help you get better fitness results because when you perform better and your body's more efficient, you're going to see improved results from that. And it doesn't matter if your goal is fat loss, muscle gain, better endurance, speed, with your race workouts, anything like that, like you will get better results. If you have felt like you've been at a plateau for a little while and you're not seeing the same type of progress as when you first started working out, this is something I need you to pay attention to. You're hitting a wall. And it's not always, well, what do I need to do? I need to eat less calories and work out harder. Wrong. We need to look at this 3-part framework and make sure that you are including posture, mobility, and strength. And if mobility is missing, I would go there first. It's also going to help you, mobility and flexibility are also going to reduce pain, eliminate pain. Because whether you're doing any workouts or any day-to-day tasks, healthy mobility reduces the wear and tear on your joints, as well as any muscle compensations that are going to lead to overuse, aches, and injuries. So think about it like this. When your joints are meant to be moving fluidly and through a full range of motion, right, you're going to reduce the way that they wear on themselves, versus if they're constantly swollen and locked up and you're forcing it to move through that range of motion, you're grinding it, you're digging in, and you're pushing against it. These are the things that are, one, using more energy, and two, creating pain and inflammation in your body. Okay, we want to eliminate that. And of all of this, right, the big benefit, right, is this improved quality of life. This is where we're kind of leading towards. Mobility is, it's paramount to performing everyday tasks. Like I said, putting groceries away, playing with your kids, climbing a flight of stairs. And by improving these day-to-day tasks, as well as reducing pain associated with it, it's going to help you live your life to the fullest, right? And this is really, I think, an ultimate goal. If that's something that you're aiming for, is just really being able to be active in your life, to be able to trust your body. Here's a great example. So this morning I went to my daughter's school. They're having this fundraiser where the kids were running laps around the track or walking laps around the track, and you could sponsor them, and they're trying to build a new playground or whatever. But anyway, the school asked me to come and lead like warm-up exercises for the different grades as they came out to start going around the track. And I thought, oh my gosh, this would be super fun. Of course, I can go up there and do these warm-ups for the kids. And I mean, simple things like jogging in place and touching your toes and, different warm-up type exercises, all things that were taking their bodies and their joints through full range of motion, activating muscles, getting their bodies warmed up, their joints ready for impact and prepared for movement as they walked, jogged, or ran around the track to have fun, right? And a lot of times, we think about, well, kids can just go off and do whatever they want to do because they're not going to pull a muscle or do anything like that. And as an adult, we think, oh, I can't do that because I'll probably hurt myself or I might pull a hammy or like whatever. But when you think about how much kids move, it's why their bodies are capable of doing these things. How much are you moving your body? How much are you prioritizing, this overall health of joints and muscles and these systems that need to work together? And one of the things that I thought of as I left this morning was I felt so incredibly fortunate that I have been putting so much time and effort into flexibility and mobility recently after my neck surgery, because it allowed me to show up and work out all morning with the kids and to be playful with them. And I mean, to have them chase me around the field and to go around the track and to not feel like I was falling apart or that I was going to have to come home and lay on the couch all day on ice packs or pop some ibuprofen for the pain. And it was just a little thing, right? But it's one of those things that could, if your body isn't working well and you're constantly in pain, it's one of those things that you could be left out of. And we just don't need that. So if we're on the same page so far as with what mobility is and why it's important, it's an important piece of this total framework, right? The PMS framework. I want you to comment, I get it, or you want it, right? Let me know that this is something that you need and you are interested in kind of taking action on moving forward. That's what we're going to look at next. Oh, Sarah says, I'm terrible about pre and post stretching. And this is, I hope, Sarah, that you're hearing like why this is so important. I always feel like as a coach, it's so beneficial to, yes, get the information. This is what I need to do, but I like to know the why behind things. It makes me feel so much more invested in my actions because I understand the purpose. And where there's a purpose, I feel like, okay, I can really create some purpose-driven action because I understand what is going on, right? So let's take a look at some of your major anchors. Now, I did introduce anchors in the posture session last week, but I want to build in this connection here with mobility. Sarah says, let's do it. I hear you, warrior. Oh, girl, I'm so glad you're here. Okay, the first anchor we're going to look at is the shoulders. All right, so your shoulders are an anchor for your upper body, your arms. And I want you to think about your shoulder joint. It's shaped like a ball and socket. Okay, the shoulder is designed so that you can move your arm backwards, forward, side to side, as well as around in circles. And if it moves like it should, the joint shouldn't be able to enjoy a healthy mobility or full range of motion. But however, if certain movements such as transferring your laundry from the washer to the dryer, throwing a ball for your dog, or bringing your arm up beside your ear feels impossible, or maybe it causes you pain. Like if you struggle with exercises like tricep movements like this, or pullovers where your arms need to come up behind your head, overhead presses, any of those types of exercises are a struggle for you, you may be lacking shoulder mobility, right? The other test that you can test this yourself. You can go, I want you to test this. Stand up against a wall. I want you to put your heels, your butt, your upper back, like in between your shoulder blades, against the wall, arms against the wall. You should be able to feel your elbows and your wrist on the wall like this. And then start to slide them up. See how far you can slide your arms up without losing contact with the wall. If you can bring them all the way up beside your face, you've got some great mobility in your shoulders. and then pull them back down, keeping them against the wall. See how low you can bring your elbows. You should be able to bring them down towards your ribs, not touching ribs, but to here. And if you're kind of stuck right here, which is pretty common, we are lacking mobility in your shoulders. So if you're trying to do any of those exercises, like raise your arms, press weight overhead, but you can't get your arms in that position, your body will end up trying to compensate by arching your back or bringing the ribs open. So one of the things that Emily mentioned was pain, like through the ribs and stuff. And this is where this one piece of this, right? You're going to arch your back, or maybe you're going to shrug your shoulders, trying to get that height, trying to get the arms up there. And this is going to cause other issues and injuries with your upper back, your neck, and it's also going to compromise your shoulders. So lack of mobility in the shoulder joint is also, I think it was, I read a report before I did this, and I think it was like 36% of strength training injuries come from lack of mobility in the shoulder joint. It was like, it was less than 40%, but it was like 35 to 40%. That's pretty significant. So actually do that test against the wall. And if you feel open to getting someone to do a video of you and post that in the group and tag me so I can see, it's going to help me help you move your body better. Okay. Anytime that I can see you moving your body, that I can provide so much better feedback on what you need to do, or where you're lacking mobility, where you're missing flexibility, that kind of stuff. So that's the first anchor. The second anchor I wanted to mention today is, of course, our hips are down at the pelvis. And when it comes to mobility or lack of, another, kind of common area is in our hips, especially for women, and especially for women who have a desk job, okay? The muscles that connect to the pelvis can become super tight due to excessive sitting. And I did talk about that a lot last week as well. So I won't go too much into that. But the problem is when your hip muscles tighten, a chain reaction kind of results, and then the surrounding structures end up being affected, kind of like where you don't have that mobility here. So then you start to try to create that mobility or get that strength from someplace else. We try to borrow it. And that's where these compensation patterns and movement dysfunctions are created. And whatever we repeat, our body remembers. And so it becomes habitual. That becomes your normal movement pattern. Every time you try to reach overhead, you're going to shrug, right? You're not going to extend fully. You're going to be shortened. And that just, it just makes it tighter, tighter, tighter. And so in your hips, if you have tight hip muscles and you perform a squat, you're going to experience this decreased muscle activation in your hip extensors. Like your hip extensors would be like your glutes, your butt muscles. So now your glutes are becoming weak because you have tight hips and you don't have full muscle activation. And so this is where that compensation comes into play. And anytime that you are compensating, that movement is going to be inefficient, and it's often going to cause problems or injuries in other areas of your body. Okay. Sarah, you did it. Sarah said, damn, that was a lot harder than I thought. It's deceiving. And if you don't realize that that's how locked up you are, like I said, it becomes your normal. This is just how you move. And bringing awareness to where that movement is or where it's stuck is so incredibly important to start first. And if you were to watch yourself in the mirror, I'm going to film myself, actually. I'll film myself. I have really good mobility in my shoulders, abnormally good. And so I'll film myself doing it and post it in the group so you guys can kind of see what that movement should look like, okay? But this is really why mobility is so essential to our overall quality of life, especially as we are getting older, okay? I want you to be aging well. I don't want you to be, grumbling about your next birthday because as you get older, you feel like you're falling apart, or you don't feel like you're aging well, or everything feels bad. Our ability to move without restriction or pain means that we can comfortably perform daily activities and be an active participant in our lives, right? So that is just really important and powerful to me. So that's a big motivator for me. But what doesn't bend will break. Okay, I want you to take that away from today. What doesn't bend will break. Improving flexibility and mobility are linked to better overall strength and fitness, right? So when you're a kid, flexibility and mobility are moving all the time, right? You haven't developed any compensation patterns or anything like that. But as an adult, you have to take responsibility for improving and maintaining your flexibility and mobility. And I know that that's probably hard to hear sometimes, right? But you have to be proactive about doing this, about wanting it to feel, about wanting to feel better and not looking for some sort of Band-Aid solution or quick fix for it. All right. I will make the fix as easy and as approachable as possible. That's my specialty. But I'm not going to promise some sort of overnight sensation. It doesn't work like that. If you have been restricted in your mobility and your flexibility for decades, I'm not going to help you change that in the next 21 days. All right. So let's be realistic, but be hopeful in knowing that you can do a little bit and make a lot of progress. All right. I really want you to feel encouraged by that. So what do? How do you get started? I want to simplify this into the top 3 things that you can do to start making improvements right now. Even if you just choose one of these things, you're going to make a significant impact on your mobility and flexibility if you haven't been working on this. And so to start prioritizing mobility and flexibility movements daily, that's what I want you to do. Even if it's one stretch, even if it's what we talked about last week and you're focusing on just getting out of your chair and moving a little bit more during the day, that is also going to benefit your mobility. So hear me that I did not say you need to start going to a 45-minute yoga class, right? You can and should start with something small to avoid further pain, potential injury. I want you to start with something accessible so that you can actually be consistent with it. Okay, we don't need the all or nothing. We need 1% better. And so if you're like, okay, that sounds great, but you're the kind of person who actually needs like something more tangible to like check off every day, I'm going to push you to challenge you to get the Strong Moms Micro Workout Bundle. This has more than 12 different workout calendars in it, but there's a 30-day mobility calendar that will guide you through 30 to 45 seconds of intentional and balanced mobility work to start moving and feeling better. And I promise you, if you committed to that calendar and you started doing it daily, you started today, literally within 3 to 5 days, I could guarantee that you would notice a positive change. That's how powerful it is to start doing this little bit consistently. So if you committed to following it, you would see a dramatic improvement in the next 30 days with your mobility, but also with just reduced aches and pains that you may be experiencing right now. If you don't have that calendar, if you don't have that micro bundle, let me know in the comments. I'll post a link for you guys to get that. But it's super simple. Let me see if there's a way for me to share a picture of it. I don't think I can. But basically the calendar shows you the movements and you just follow along with the stretch or the flow. And it's just like, do this for 5 seconds, which is basically like 1 deep breath or 2 deep breaths, right? And then you just go on to the next movement. Really simple. The second thing that you could do is strength training. And if you come back next week, our final session will be diving deep into the strengthening component of the PMS framework. But for right now, I want you to hear me on that. The key to improving mobility through strength training is to be able to move through the entire range of motion with control during every repetition. For example, if you just went and did the shoulder mobility test up against the wall and you can't press your arms up past here, but when you're strength training, you're trying to do overhead presses and pushing your weights up like this, you cannot move that joint through the full range of motion yet, right? So now we're adding load, we're adding resistance with dumbbells, and we're trying to push that joint through a full range of motion, and we're forcing it, right? So these two things aren't going to work together. So we want to be able to maybe start with that body weight. All right, you can use weights, exercise bands, or body weight, and each one of these things can help progress your mobility. If you can't move through the full range of motion yet, it's always good to go down to body weight or to use exercise bands to help you create some of the resistance without a lot of the load, okay? Resistance bands and loops are phenomenal for your joint health. And I would encourage you to learn how to use those. And you can bet that micro bundle, if you choose to get that for the mobility, it also has several strength training calendars to help you out with this, where each workout will take you, 4 minutes or less. 4 minutes is like, oh my gosh, that was a long workout in the micro bundle. There's body weight only, and there's some with dumbbells. And so there's a mix in there as well. And then the third thing that I would tell you to do, I told you to do this last week as well, is to take breaks from sitting. Get up, moving more, moving every hour or two is simply a really healthy way to protect your joints. And the longer you remain in one position, the more likely you will experience flexibility or mobility issues. So get up. You were made to move around. Actually, this morning, my daughter's teacher was telling me that he was running last week and kind of stepped out on his knee, like a little bit awkward, and it was really hurting. And he's back to walking, but in the mornings it's still super stiff, and with certain movements it's still got a little bit of pain. He was asking me about that, and I said, well, when you feel that pain, what do you do? He says, well, I try to rest it. I try to sit down and try to rest it. And here's the thing, he has the most pain when he's waking up in the morning, after his leg has been immobile and in the same position, remaining in one position for an extended period of time without movement. After he gets up and gets going, he notices that throughout the day, when he's in the classroom, he really doesn't have any pain, because there's so much more circulation, there's so much more fluid getting into the joint, and the joint is moving through its full range of motion. This is what your body needs to be healthy: movement. So I encouraged him to do a few different movements to move that joint through its full range of motion in the morning and any other time during the day when he finds that he's sitting for a long period of time. I gave him a couple of things that he can do while he's in a seated position to keep that joint moving. But this is what we need to be able to focus on whenever we are kind of getting stuck in that pain or in those patterns. So what combination of these are you ready to commit to? Is it the daily mobility and using that calendar? Are you in that phase where you need the strength training? Is it just focusing on taking breaks from sitting, right? Remember that the information is helpful, but it's not going to get you results. Action leads to transformation. So if you want to eliminate pain and feel better, get stronger, have more energy, right? It all starts with you taking action. And that action does not need to be dramatic, okay? I said 30 to 45 seconds out of your day with that mobility calendar, 30 seconds, right? So if you're committed to trying one of these suggestions I just gave you, I want you to comment and let me know if you need that micro workout bundle, right? I want you to grab it and get started today, all right? And if all of this is starting to come together and kind of click for you and starting to make connections between how you feel and what components of the framework are missing for you, but maybe you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed with actually tackling what you need to do to make a difference in your day-to-day, just take a deep breath. You have a compassionate coach in your corner and all the resources that you need to get started with guidance and all of these components incorporated, right? That is what I'm here for. I'm here to help you say, okay, just do this every day this week, or as many times as you can this week, okay? Just focus on this one thing, right? Let's work together on that. So I feel like that the biggest call to action today is if you've been experiencing a body that feels frustratingly old, right? You're always popping the painkillers because your back hurts or your core is weak or whatever that might be. Definitely sign up for the Ab Rehab Challenge if you haven't already. or reach out to me and tell me what you're facing. Comment on this, right? Let me know what you're going through so that I can help you find a path forward with the right resources and support. Because here's the thing, we can often get really caught up in our own day-to-day, like my schedule, my kids' schedule, responsibilities, and then whatever it is that we want to do to feel better goes on the back burner. So my job is to give you something so small and simple that you can just squeeze it in. And if you could squeeze it in enough times, right, you start to notice some of those positive results. You start to realize, oh, I can make time for this. It's only 30 seconds. It's not that big of a deal, and it's helping me feel better. This sends important and powerful messages to your brain that help you rewire your beliefs about what you're capable of and your habits. Okay, and your habits are what you do repeatedly, right, is what you become. And we want to really put those good habits in place. So make sure you're back here with me next Wednesday when we're going to be focusing on strength. Join the Ab Rehab Challenge and have a friend, bring a friend along. And let me just check in here. Yeah, I really would encourage you guys to do that shoulder mobility challenge I just gave you against the wall. It's quite eye-opening. I'll post mine just after this. And yeah, Sarah, let me post to you guys the calendar. Let me grab a link for it right now. If anybody needs the micro workout calendar, let me post it. There's a link right there in the comments for you. Emily says exercises that are less than 1 minute are her jam. So good, Emily, you're right where you need to be. Use one of these calendars and focusing on breaks from sitting. So that's your main thing. And Emily, with that, I think this is such a good one for you guys to start with. Anybody who needs to start as easy as possible. Taking the breaks from sitting is it, because I talked about that last week and how that's going to help your posture. But now I'm telling you again this week how that's also going to support you in your mobility and your flexibility health. All right, so you can kind of get that 2 birds with 1 stone kind of a thing with one main focus, not having to stack another habit on right now. Get up and move your body more. Just commit to that. And when it happens, tell me about it in the group. I want to cheer you on every time you get to celebrate a win. I got up from my desk 2 times today when previously would never have gotten up. That's important to celebrate. Your brain gets excited when we do things that are pleasurable. Okay, and when we celebrate the things that are pleasurable, it's kind of like a double bonus to the brain. The brain's like, wow, that felt good, I did it, but then I got celebrated for doing it, so now it's even better. And it's really important for us helping to develop these habits. Okay, awesome. All right, guys, that's all I've got for you today. So I really hope that today was helpful with our mobility component. Find that path forward, either posting in the group, reaching out to me, whatever you need, because our health is a daily practice. Commit, don't quit. Ladies, I'll see you back here next Wednesday. Looking forward to it. Bye.